Here's Paul Calvisi.
I'm ready. I'm 100% ready. I'm telling you I'm ready.
And Ron Wolfley.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Unleash the fury!
You know, since all I hear is everyone saying, and this is a good thing, that the Cardinals' schedule release is fire. Well, we got to fight fire with fire around here on the Big Red Rage, presented by Santan, Ford, and Gilbert. Not only do we have rocket ship himself, Mac Wilson Sr., okay, Mr. 18 bars, but we have the two Mr. 24s in recent Cardinals history. Two guys, let's do the math here, have taken the number to a combined 9 Pro Bowls. Host Ron Wolfley and former player host Adrian Wilson on a Mega Mondo edition, scheduled release edition of the Big Red Rage, presented by Santan, Ford, and Gilbert.
Dub. Whoa. What is going on, my brother?
Hey,
How are you,
I'm
man?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Can
How
I
are
just
you?
say, right now, Paulie, I've got to say this quickly. The fact I went to 4 Pro Bowls, that was a big deal for me, Base and Orleans. And you have to understand, as an NFL player, if you get one more than somebody else, your 4 doesn't even count. And this guy got 5.
Couldn't feel those fingers up.
He got 5 Pro Bowls, and he had to wear the same number, Paul.
Wolf, you spoke it into existence. You're the one who poked the bear. How many times did you taunt and challenge A-Dub himself back in the day? I mean, go back into the cold tub time machine back when he was player host and used to say, when you get 4, come find me.
Right. Way too many times, right?
Yeah, he got 5, Paulie. Yeah,
I had to go buy residence
and not
there
only
for a
that,
few
too,
years.
we all understand this. Dub looked a lot better in his uniform than I did. All right? I'm just saying. Okay? Could he have picked a different number?
By the way, he still looks really good. You know, the rumors were that you let yourself go, you know, you had the beer gut and the whole thing, but no, those are false. You're looking really good.
Yeah, they were pretty false. Pretty false.
Right.
You know, we're not going to talk about the is that the goat?
Oh, my goodness.
Is that the goat?
No, I don't know.
Number 1-1?
No, you already took a shot at Larry
Please.
during Pat P's press conference.
As long as he knows
Okay.
that I'm going to forever talk about him, because he's not going to be able to fit into that Hall of Fame jacket.
All right. Well, just for the record, though, right here, what 20 pounds? Did you lose 20?
I lost probably about 25 to 30.
Wow,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, how did you do it, though?
Ozempic. No, I'm playing.
I know there's no way he did that.
It's real simple. He stopped living in the weight room.
Yeah,
Is what he
seriously,
said. That's
for
what he
real.
stopped doing.
I actually like buying clothes off the rack now.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Nice.
It's a lot less expensive.
All right, so look, there's that time in every offseason, okay? There's different markers of an offseason. We had schedule release. The NFL has now turned it into a week-long event. It's a 3-hour primetime TV show. It's remarkable. The TV ratings have never been better. I heard one of the TV suits saying, you know what, in this fragmented universe of TV, programming and streaming, football is the one thing that brings everyone together. It's how the advertisers, how the networks know they're going to get big ratings. So this is a big deal. We're going to go through it. It's the genesis of 18 bars and Mac Wilson Sr. himself, all right, the inspiration for the song. But we'll go through all this, and then he's going to back clean up at the end of the show. Segment 4, we're going to hear from Mac Wilson Sr. himself, and we'll hear his brand new song, an original production. When you guys look, Wolf, when you used to pick up the schedule every year, right? I don't know. They used to send it out via, snail mail or whatever it was back in the day. Boom, you'd look at it. What would you look at first?
The first thing I'd look at is where the buy is, Paulie. Where is the buy? I wanted it right in the middle. That's where I thought, that'd be a good place to stick it, right in the middle of the season. So that was the first thing that I would do. And then the second thing I would look for is where is the suck buttermilk part of the schedule? Where is it going to be really, really nasty? And that took a little time to decipher, of course, but I don't know about you, Dub. How did you feel about that? When you got the schedule, what did you look for first?
Yeah, back in my time, 2001, not 1983 or anything like that.
It was 85.
Just keeps flying around.
Message Pissinger. Just got to clap him in and stuff. So, the first thing I probably looked at was week 1, just seeing whether we playing away or at home. Who the quarterback may be, who the quarterback may not be. You always want to think about crowd noise, all those sorts of things really going to week 1. And again, just like you said, the bye week, you definitely want to see where your bye week is, and you just kind of adjust from there.
All right, so am I out of line over here at Paulie Pencilneck if I say week 1 is kind of an extension of the preseason? I think the Saints are that bad. We'll see about week 1. And then by the time you get to week 3, the 49ers, nobody has won more games at Levi's Stadium than the Arizona Cardinals. I always mark that down as a home game. I did last year. The Cardinals won again in Santa Clara. But let's just start at the very beginning, because one of the things I cited, Dub, was, you know what? If you can play some of these inexperienced quarterbacks early, that goes a long way. And whether it's Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck, a couple of Valley kids, I mean, New Orleans is going to have, and a first-time head coach in Kellen Moore. What do you see there?
Yeah, again, I think when you look at the Arizona Cardinals and you look at what they did in the second half of the season last year and how they finished, not only did they finish strong defensively, but in terms of winning ball games in the second half of the season, this schedule, I think it sets up very, very well for them. For them, I think early on you want to really try to get wins and try to get into a rhythm, because you are playing a bunch of really either first-year head coaches or you're playing young, inexperienced quarterbacks.
You know, for me, Paulie, I just had the New Orleans Saints. I think that is an excellent place to start. It really is, because for me, if I were a head coach, I want my team in training camp looking at, hey, we're going on the road. I used to love that, playing away. We're going to a distant village, and we are going to a hostile environment. You better be ready. It would help focus the team overall. And not only that, too, I think that is going to be a bloodbath right there, okay? And the reason why I say that, metaphorically speaking, is the fact that the New Orleans Saints were number 31 in rushing yards per game allowed and number 31 in rushing yards per play allowed. You put those two things together, and guess what? Here we go, James Conner. How many times can we run James Conner straight through the middle in between those tackles? How many times can we attack the line of scrimmage? We'll find out.
You know who is 32nd in rush defense would be your opponent in week 2, the Carolina Panthers, who had the worst defense, points per game as well. But there's no chance of a letdown game in the home opener. A, it's your home opener, and B, Wolf, we were there. Cardinals lost an overtime game at Carolina a year ago, so I think the Panthers and Bryce Young will get the Cardinals' attention.
Yeah, I do too. You know what? I think when you really look at this thing and you really break it down, you know, if the Arizona Cardinals can start this thing off fast and strong, I really do think by the time they get to the bye week, they'll be in a pretty good position, because when you look at the second half of that schedule there, it's pretty
rough.
Pretty rough.
Yeah, could be.
Pretty rough.
You know, for me, once again, I love this, guys, because the first 2 weeks of the season, again, one away against the Saints. Somebody get me the gumbo, please, Paul. Maybe you could bring some gumbo home from there, okay? And then, of course, the Carolina Panthers at home. I do think that plays into the strengths of the Arizona Cardinals. They could start the season 2-0, and I think this team is a team that is going to need a little bit of confidence going forward. Yeah, they won 4 more games last year than they did the year before that. But I think coming into this season, this is a prove-it year, and I think you have to talk about that up here. You have to talk about it on a strategic level. All of training camp going into the season, hey, this is our opportunity right here to actually take that next step. Early on, I think it's going to be important. They win games.
Week 3 at the 49ers for the Cardinals. And somehow the 49ers got 5 primetime games. I have no idea. But not only do they have the easiest schedule in the NFL this year, they have the easiest schedule by the numbers since 2015. So for that reason, they are a slight betting favorite to win the NFC West in Vegas right now. That's remarkable. Thursday night game at home against Seattle. Dub, how big a deal is it? Just you have a Thursday night game and it's at home. You don't have to go on the road.
Yeah, that's so big. Thursday night games suck. Let's just be completely honest. Like, they suck. You don't have time to prepare. There's not a lot of practice time. But just being able to get Sam Darnold at home on a Thursday night, short week, it could be good for the Cardinals. Yeah.
I'm looking at 5-1.
Wow.
I'm looking at it right now.
Really?
If you just guessed, not a prediction, but I think they could be 5-1.
Well, they get Cam Ward in Tennessee. That'll be at home in Week 5. And then they go to Indianapolis. That's Jonathan Gannon against Shane Steichen, 2 really close friends right there from their Philadelphia days. That'll be very interesting, whether it's Anthony Richardson, is it Daniel Jones. Once again, all of those quarterbacks right there that the Cardinals are going to see, save San Francisco and Brock Purdy. Don't even know about whether Sam Darnold maybe even be Jalen Milroe by week 4 in Seattle. Who knows? We'll continue with the schedule. It is the Big Red Rage presented by Santan Ford of Gilbert. Adrian Wilson and Mac Wilson Sr. our guest.
What's so funny?
A-Dub just came up behind you and just gave the beast mode. Oh, baby, got me all jacked up. That mud is ready to go right there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I feel you, bro. Yeah, A-Dub's over there. A-Dub just ran, going off in the booth next to us. How awesome is that? Dude's a scout, and he's feeling it. The blood is on the boil here tonight.
His sport jacket fits like a glove. That thing probably costs more than your car. And he's about to rip that thing in half, though, if he goes Hulk mode on you. And then he sits down and eats popcorn.
I tell you,
That's so good, man.
Ash and Wolf painting a picture. It goes beyond just the field. It goes to the stadium, and their next door neighbor was one Adrian Wilson. Who? What were you doing? That's before you left the weight room. You were still pumping iron at that point.
I get a little fired up now. I get a little fired up now. You know.
What was that one rival every year that you got the most fired up for? You got that super extra look in your eye.
I would probably say maybe the Rams. And the only reason why I say that is it's an old draft story. Okay, 2001. Okay, the St. Louis Rams. They have 3 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, 3.
And I'm three now. If anybody remembers this, I think Aeneas Williams ended up getting traded from Arizona to St. Louis. They end up getting an extra draft pick somewhere along the line. I want to say it might have been second or third round, somewhere around that time. So during the whole pre-draft process, I'm like, there's no doubt. Like I'm going to St. Louis. Like I took a trip up there like 4 times. So I'm like, I'm definitely like this is happening, right? Okay, well, first 10 picks goes by. Rams got a 15th pick or something like that. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not going 15. I'm like, I know I'm not going. Okay, so I don't go 15. 20-something comes, 21, 22 or something like that. It comes up. My name doesn't get called. It was like Adam Archuleta. I'm like, who was that?
ASU guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, shot over the ball.
Oh, yeah. Workout warrior.
Who is
Yep.
that guy?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, they get I want to say it was like the last pick in the first round and no call. And I'm like, oh, shit. So at this point, sorry.
Yeah.
So I end up basically obviously going to Arizona, which I was ecstatic about. But ever since that day, I just dreamed about playing the Rams and just I'm talking about crushing them every time I played them. Every time.
So, Wolf, I don't know if it was the Cowboys for you. Someone in the division, right? Had to have been.
Yeah, no, it was, you nailed it, Bully, right there, the Star. Oh, I hated the Star. I think most players did that didn't play for the Dallas Cowboys. You could not stand the Star because back then when I was playing, of course, they were America's team.
Oh, yeah.
And look, we'll get to the Cowboys here in a minute on Monday night, but we're picking up where we left off on the Cardinals schedule 2025. Mac Wilson Sr. will join us at the very end of the show. We'll have an extended conversation with Rocket Ship himself and his schedule release song and video. But Green Bay, to me, Wolf, you've usurped your own process, and you've already predicted the Cardinals. You expect them to start 5-1 based on the schedule.
Yeah.
So now you get Green Bay at home. And let's face it, that was a litmus test for the Cardinals last year. They went to Lambeau, and that was a one-sided, lopsided game. So to me, this year against, that team, that quarterback, that defense, and that head coach and play caller, that's going to be a big deal and a big test for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Paulie. And Jordan Love just got better as the season unfolded for the Green Bay Packers once again. And, it's interesting because if you look at the Packers, they might be the best team that the Arizona Cardinals are going to play on this schedule right here. They were 11-6, of course, last year. Their offense was really, really good. They're very balanced as well. They can run the ball. They throw the ball. They do a good job scoring points. So I look at that, and I think that is going to be a tough game for the Arizona Cardinals, especially with a bye week after it.
Yeah, they won 11 games, finished third in their own division a year ago. All right, so a bye week, and not only a bye week, Dub, but then you play a Monday night game.
Yeah, it is. When I look at this thing, you look at before the bye and after the bye who you play.
Yeah.
And you play Green Bay week 7. You have the bye in week 8, and then you have the Cowboys on Monday night at Dallas, right? And then you look at the schedule after that. You have 6 NFC games. 6.
Including 2 division games. You get at Seattle and the 49ers again at home.
I mean, it is – you talking about prime time to be positioning yourselves for the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that stretch is.
No, that is an excellent observation right there by you. I'm kind of shocked that you made that observation as a matter of fact.
I can't read.
But having said that right now, did you like the bye? Were you one of these guys who liked the bye? Did you? I couldn't stand the bye. What about you?
I needed it.
You did.
I think from a mental standpoint and just being able to reset. I don't know if you guys did that back in the day. I don't know if you guys reset back in the day.
I think we reset. Yeah,
okay.
we did.
Like, I like to reset. I like to really see what's after the bye, what I need to do to prepare myself, prepare my body mentally, all these things. And from a leadership standpoint, like you need a break as a leader. Like you just need to really just take a step back.
Did you go anywhere in the bye?
I was out of here.
You were gone,
I was
man.
gone.
Wow.
I was gone.
Okay.
I was gone. Took the kids out of school for a week. We're out of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so look, you get Dallas on the Monday night, and then you get the Seahawks and the 49ers. You still haven't seen the Rams at this point. We'll get to the Rams a little bit. And then Jacksonville. Intriguing. I mean, not only a first-time head coach and 39-year-old Liam Cohen, but then you're going to get first-time coordinators, a couple of young guys, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. What is his playing time going to be like? Which side of the ball and how much? And then, if you want to talk about Cardinals history, Travis Hunter, maybe Roy Jetstream Green, they have a photo op before the game as guys who have played both sides of the ball. But that Week 12 game against Jacksonville, I mean, Wolf, at that point in the season, after the teams you have played, I'm guessing that's got about as close to a must-win as you're going to have, especially considering Jacksonville went 1-8 on the road last year.
Yeah, Paulie, once again, yes, that is going to be a must-win situation, I would imagine, at this point, especially because you know what's coming the last 6 weeks of the season. That's going to be the suck buttermilk part of the schedule for the Arizona Cardinals. That last 6 games, very, very tough situation. Yeah, Jacksonville, I look at that, Paulie, yet at the same time, I think overall, for the most part, you look at the Seattle Seahawks and then the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks game, of course, up in Seattle, and then you've got the 49ers at home. I think the Arizona Cardinals, I think it's imperative they at least split with every team in their division. All right, so to me, the Rams, of course, the Seahawks, and the 49ers, I'd like to see that split, whether it's home and away, whatever it may be. I don't know, but I can tell you this right now. I think it's really important that the Cardinals win this division, and I think 10-7 could do it, and I think the Cardinals could be on their way after these 6 games in the middle of the season.
You know what's interesting? Seattle is going to travel the 3rd most miles of any team with 6 cross-country trips this year.
Wow.
The Rams are going to be number 2 in miles flown this year, and they're going to cross an NFL high 44 time zones.
Wow.
That sounds like a lot.
Wow.
How big a deal is that when you're a player?
I don't – you know what?
Is it more mental than anything? I mean, do you think it can get a guy like, man, we're traveling a lot, we're number 2 in miles?
I do think it plays – like tricks on your psyche. I think at the end of the day, though, I really do think that it's on the coaches to call aggressively early, to get guys going, to get the energy up, to get the flow of the game going. Playing at 10 a.m., playing at 11 a.m., whatever it is, whether you're, Midwest or back east, those games technically they start early for obviously us. But for those guys, like it's just normal operation for them. So I think for us, it's about the coaches being aggressive, just getting the players to understand it's an aggressive mindset.
For me, Paulie, just jumping in to what A-Dub just said right there, for me, it definitely has an impact on your body, I think, when you play those early games. I think it really does. I just don't want to hear about it. You know what I mean? Don't be talking about it. I don't want to hear about it. It's an excuse. It's built in immediately. Oh, it's an early start for our body. We're out there playing at 10 o'clock. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And I think that is leadership.
Yeah.
Here's my other question. As a guy who played on the defensive side of the ball, when you look at a schedule, how quickly do you look at the quarterbacks you're going against?
Oh, immediately. Because you want to get off to a hot start, especially defensively. You want to make sure that you have all the things that you need to have, all the T's crossed and I's dotted going into every single game when you're playing young quarterbacks, because if you don't do that later on in the season, those things are going to creep back up in some form or fashion, and you're going to be seeing those things all year.
Well, we're through week 12, and the Cardinals' schedule gets really tough. Not only in terms of home and away, but against some of the quarterbacks they're going to face down the stretch as well. By the way, single game tickets on sale via SeatGeek. Go to azcardinals.com/tickets. And then you can join the Bird Gang on the road this season with Cardinals Premier Travel. Hosted by Cardinals legends, packages are going to include transportation, hotel accommodations, pregame tailgate experience, game tickets, and more. For all the details, go to azcardstravel.com, azcardstravel.com. We continue. We have Adrian Wilson, Mac Wilson Sr. coming our way on the Big Red Rage.
Bulger will drop the throw. Here comes Wilson. He sacks him at the 12-yard line. And Bulger is hurt.
Boom, here he comes. Unblocked, untouched.
Runs and he is sacked back at the 27-yard line. Adrian Wilson. Martin is holding his right elbow as he gets up.
1 minute, you're Braveheart storming the battlefield on your white steed, and the next thing you know, one helmet later, you're little Jack Horner and you're eating a Christmas pie. And I think on that last play, Jamie Martin was eating some Christmas pie.
Jackson gets the ball, and Adrian Wilson comes into the backfield and brings him down to the 44.
Some dogs like to bark on the porch. Some dogs like to bite on the street. And I got to believe Adrian Wilson is one of those guys that prefers pavement over porches.
I don't think I've heard that one before. Wolf, would you say that Adrian Wilson, more than any other player, really was sort of a muse for you? Right?
Yeah.
You came up with better analogies when it came to A-Dub than I think any other player play for play.
The gas man.
It's unbelievable.
That's what I like to call him.
I mean,
because
it is
explosions happened on the field wherever A-Dub went. And you know this, Paulie. But quarterbacks, opposing quarterbacks, you had to find 24.
Oh, yeah.
You had to find him and know where he was.
Yeah.
It really warms my heart to hear Wolf say that.
It's the truth.
It just really warms my heart.
Don't let it go to your head, Dub.
It took 10 years of retirement and your name up in the Ring of Honor, but if it finally happened, here we go. So, yes, Adrian Wilson is our special guest. Mac Wilson Sr. coming our way here shortly. We continue with this schedule release edition of the Big Red Rage presented by Santan Ford and Gilbert. All right, we'll get to the Rams in a minute. Tampa, Week 13. That's where we left off. Cardinals going on the road. There's one sideline reporter who's very happy about going to Tampa November 30th instead of sometime in September. I'll just say that because really there's only two kinds of games in the NFL when you're the sideline guy. There's roof or no roof. And when there's no roof, at least it's a good time of year. Tampa. But you know what we love about this one, at least I do, Dub, is that Kyler against Baker Mayfield, it is like so on. It's the game within the game, and Kyler's undefeated against Baker in the NFL.
Yeah, it's always a good time seeing those two going at it. Yeah. Two Oklahoma guys. Both guys can really spin the football, and I'm looking forward to it. I know Todd Bowles is going to throw out some exotic blitzes and all those sorts of things, so it's going to be a very, very good contest, but I'm looking forward to the two quarterbacks for sure.
What stands out? When you think of Todd Bowles, Wolf, when you think of Tampa, they're obviously the class of that division, NFC South. What do you think about that game, that challenge?
For me, Paul, I look at it, and I think of Todd Bowles immediately, as A-Dub points out. This is a guy that loves physicality as well. He coaches physicality on both sides of the ball. This is going to be a line of scrimmage game, even though you've got some great talent out on the perimeter, great skill, of course, on both sides of the ball. I think this is still going to be a line of scrimmage game right here. The Buccaneers 10-7 last season. Baker Mayfield really took a massive step forward as far as I'm concerned. I could see this game being one of the more physical games of the season for the Arizona Cardinals, and I think it's winnable.
There are likes and dislikes with any schedule. Maybe my primary dislike would be having to play the Rams at the end of the season instead of the beginning of the season. Last 2 years, the Rams have started 1-4, 3-6, and then they've gone on a tear to end each of the last 2 years. So there they are. You're going to have them at home, Week 14. What is it about Sean McVay where he gets his teams dialed in, Dub?
I'm with you, Paul. I don't like the fact that they have to play the Rams really 4 weeks apart.
Yeah.
And Sean McVay, once he gets settled into his offensive game plan throughout the year, they're hard to deal with. I mean, they are a hard team to deal with offensively, especially when the rhythm gets going.
For me too, the Rams, it's changed so much. It's not just Matthew Stafford. It really isn't. They run the ball so well with Kyron Williams. Of course, they run the ball. They're a much more physical team than they have been in the past, the Rams. And now this young defense. You give me that young defense. You've got these young guys. It is amazing, especially how young they are in the box, of course. And now you give me an experienced quarterback like Matthew Stafford with that young defense. I think the Rams are the team to beat in this division.
And we're not even talking about Devontae Adams.
I know. They have two receivers now. Two big, physical, playmaking receivers. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Yeah. I mean, and there's a reason why the Cardinals have drafted 7 corners in the last 3 drafts. I mean, honestly. And Will Johnson could be a big part of the game plan in that one, especially by the time you get to Week 14. All right, at Houston. Dub, you spent a lot of time around Houston these days. C.J. Stroud and the Texans. I know they've tried to build from the inside out this offseason, but, man, we saw C.J. Stroud 2 years ago. He's the real deal.
Yeah, he is. And you know what? This team is very, again, another physical contest. And that's three in a row there. So, again, you gotta bring your lunch pail, your hard hat. And going to Houston, that game is going to be very, very exciting. I think C.J. Stroud is an amazing quarterback. But, again, the Houston Texans offensive line have always been a problem for the past couple of years, and it's probably going to be a problem again this year. And hopefully the Cardinals can take advantage of it.
Here's what I don't get. How does Atlanta get 5 primetime games? They haven't made the playoffs since 2017. They got an international game as well.
It's bizarre.
And there they are. They're going to be at home, Cardinals against the Falcons, and Wolf, I mean, they have some talent. They definitely have some weapons. They went after 2 edge rushers in round 1. I don't know. What sort of challenge do you think Atlanta's going to be? Are they a breakout team this year and I'm missing it?
I'm sorry, Paulie. I don't think so. I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I think especially at home, Week 16, that is a very winnable game for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm putting that in the win column. Now, once again, that's just a guess. And we all understand that, especially in the National Football League, it is a year-to-year proposition for the most part. Would you agree with that, Dub?
I really do agree. And it's not really when you play these teams, it's how the teams are playing when you play
exactly.
them. That's kind of, how I've always kind of looked at the schedule. Who's going to be hot, who's not going to be hot? Are you going to be playing well as a team? Is the defense going to be playing well? The offense, there's a lot of things that go into it. But I'm kind of with you, Wolf. I do think this is a winnable contest. December 21st is 4 days before Christmas, so there's some distraction there.
Yeah, for me, I look at the last 2 games as well, Paulie. At Cincinnati, of course, and at L.A., the Rams. To your point, do we have to finish with the Rams once again? Now that is going to be a very, very physical game. If there is anything at stake when they play them in January, that's going to be very interesting to watch. But the Bengals on the road, okay.
The way they have finished the last 2 years.
The way they have finished. We all know they have a hard time starting seasons for the most part. But the way they have finished, and then, of course, just the fact that it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Last year they started 1-4.
Got a little swag, though.
They won their final 5. In 23, they started 1-3. In fact, Zach Taylor in the first month of the season as head coach of the Bengals, 7-14-1. So, again, when you talk about likes and dislikes, playing Cincinnati, but, hey, if you want to earn your way into the postseason, I mean, those are 2 games that will get you playoff ready. If you go into Cincinnati and win, you go to L.A., and you were this close to beating the Rams on the road last week in Week 17, and that's stinking deflection off the helmet of Trey McBride, otherwise you might have had him. So it's not like the Cardinals are that far away, or it's, it's inconceivable they win those games, but those 2 challenges will get you playoff ready.
Yeah, it will. You know what? Another thing with this is both these games, those coaching staffs are very, very similar. So when you're going into it defensively, both of those teams come from the same branch. So defensively, you may have an easier time preparing for both those teams.
Paulie, I think 10 wins is doable for the Arizona Cardinals next year. 10 wins.
And 4 of your last 6 on the road. All right, Wolf, there's only so many chairs in this studio. There's really only so much room for so many 24s in this studio. So, you know what? We're going to set you free.
I like you, Paul.
And we're going to have rocket ship himself, Mac Wilson Sr. will join us when we come back on the Big Red Rage presented by Santan Ford in Gilbert.